Hi there, this is Fabiola Martinez, and my topic today is talking about a multi-position hoop. The hoop that I'm actually going to be demonstrating about is a Janome hoop that was called the Gigahoop, and this is a multi-position hoop. So as you can see on the screen here, this is just a picture from the box of what a Gigahoop actually is. It's a design way to, how would I describe it? A way to actually stitch out a large design. In this case, you can see that I've created a little square sort of a shape using this repeated element of this little flower bouquet. Normally, this design would not be able to be stitched out in one hooping because it's too large for the actual size of the machine. So what several different machine manufacturers have come up with is this concept of multi-position hoops. This is actually a single needle machine. Let's see, I'm going to just pull up my Janome machines. The model was the 350E, and the hoop was called the Gigahoop, which was a rotating hoop. So what the idea was back in the day is that we have the challenge of wanting to stitch out a very large design such as this that I created here in the software, and I want to stitch it out in one hooping. So on the Janome machine that I'm talking about right now, what you can see here in the picture is this was our connecting point. The connecting point on this and most of the Janome machines is at the back of the machine, whereas a lot of machines, I know that the connecting point is along the left-hand side and sometimes even along the right-hand side of our embroidery hoops. But in this instance, this is where our connecting point is at. So what I want you to see here is that the hoop would be connected onto the machine right here, and it would stitch out everything, first of all, that's in the red bordered area of my design. That would be hooping number one. Then what would happen is that we would take the hoop off of the machine. Our fabric is all hooped and stabilized in this big, large hoop right here. But then we would rotate the hoop around, and this would now be the connecting point at the back of the machine to stitch out everything that's here in the blue bordered area. So if your machine has a multi-position hoop available for it, but let's just say, for example, and the reason why I'm answering this question is because it seems like the person who is thinking about this owns a Baby Lock brand of machine, and it was a single needle machine, I'm assuming. But when you look at the available hoops here, there may not be one that was a two-position hoop with her particular dimensions listed here. So if that is the case for you, what you might need to do is come up here to your hoop little selector up here on the toolbar, right click on it, and you could come into this process where you could create your own hoop. And when you do this, I'm going to call it that. I'm going to say okay, that we've got a brand of hoops here. Let's continue to try to create a hoop here. I think I'm going to have to select a hoop. Let's just say I'm going to select, I don't even know what I should do here. Let's see. I'm just going to select a hoop. When you're in this process here, however you get there, select your format of your hoop. It's a rectangle hoop, and you can come down here and you can select a two-position rotating hoop. And when you do that, everything in the red, just like it was in my screen when I was showing you my design that I laid out, position 1 is red, position 2 is blue. What you're going to do here is you're going to write in here what the dimensions are of your stitching area for your hoop. So you need to measure that carefully or get it from your machine information, and you would then save it, and then you would have you can create your own hoop, okay? So that's how you do that part of the process. But what happens is that once you've made your layout with your chosen hoop on the screen, is that you come on down to your output design. You're going to export this design, and the software is going to do its magic. So I'm going to first of all tell you, make sure you know exactly where it is in the pathway here of where you want to save your design. Give your file a name. Make sure that you have chosen your file type for your chosen machine, and save it. So what the program is now doing is it is thinking about how it's going to save my layout, and this is what it's done to it. It's kind of just to reproduce the red and the blue of that original design. So basically it's the same design but it's going to stitch it out into 2 different hoopings. And so position number 1 is everything that's in color right here. Position number 2 is everything that right now is frosted out. And I'm going to say save all now, because I like how it divided up my design, telling me that the hooping files were saved, and I will say OK. Program will now take me back into the working screen. Might take a couple of seconds. I can close this. Oh, I guess I needed to tell it to close. Okay, so we're back in our working screen. And then we can either come up to our machine setting up here, and we can, pre-select our transfer settings. What we would do here is just, put in our appropriate information, the location that we're going to be saving to. You could choose right here. If I had a USB in my computer right now, which I don't, I could hit the browse button and I could find my USB stick and I could select it, and therefore it would set up my transfer settings. And then I would come back up to the machine and I would say to transfer the design, and it would send it right into that folder that I had pre-selected it. The other place that you could do it is you could export the design. Again, it's already saved it in my hard drive of my computer, but if I wanted to save it in another spot in my machine format, I could do that there as well. And what I could do is I could navigate along the toolbar over here on the side, and again, finding my USB stick, if it was in my computer, I could select it and send it that way as well, and I could save it. So a couple of different ways that you can export this design in the stitch format into your machine. So basically that is how you work with the multi-position hoop. They are becoming popular once again with some brands of machines, because we've all got this idea that we all want to be able to stitch out great big designs in great big hoops. So many of the brands are coming out with multi-position hoops once again. All right, so I hope that was helpful to you, and this is Fabiola Martinez, and I thank you for watching my video about using a multi-position hoop using Hatch 3 software.